Governor Ron DeSantis won re-election in Florida and even flipped Miami-Dade County for the first time in 20 years in the governor's race. Appearing on Fox News, Florida Congressman Greg Stoob shares why he thinks his state saw a record turnout for this election.
Florida is no longer a purple state. We are solidly a red state, doing better statewide than even Texas. And it's because of the policies that the Republicans have had in place here in Florida. And people all across the country, especially during COVID, recognize that. And they're sick and tired of democratically run cities and states, so they move here to Florida where they have freedom.
Governor DeSantis also won a majority of the state's Latino vote. Democrats have accused state Republicans of gerrymandering congressional districts and passing laws to suppress voters. In the USA Radio News Midwest Bureau, I'm Katie Lewis.
This is USA Radio News.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching.
You want my phone for the
healthcare can save the typical
Opera House information, or you got it?
I got it.
And that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network.
It's funny.
Yeah,
1976, it was the National Register of Historical Places in the United States, and not until 1985.
You just want a plan you're happy with. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Post-election day security concerns. In Arizona, protesters gathered Saturday outside the Maricopa County Elections Office, where ballots are still being counted. County Sheriff Paul Penzone described it as a mostly peaceful protest.
We want to see a safe environment at the cost of other needs around the county for law enforcement, at the cost of taxpayer dollars. Deputies, in addition to those we had stationed here, came to the facility to make sure everything was safe.
Federal prosecutors have asked a judge to sentence disgraced Theranos CEO Elizabeth Holmes to 15 years in prison, arguing she deserves a lengthy prison term because her massive scheme duped investors out of hundreds of millions of dollars by falsely convincing them her company had developed a revolutionary blood testing device. Calling the case one of the most substantial white-collar offenses Silicon Valley or any other district has seen, Holmes is set to appear for sentencing on November 18th in federal court in San Jose, California. Here's the call on the Notre Dame Radio Network as Drew Pine completes a pass to Jaden Thomas for 37 yards and a touchdown, giving number 20 Notre Dame a 35-13 lead over Navy.
Drew Pine with Chris Tyree to his right. He drops back, wants to go deep.
This is random.
Throws to the middle of the end zone. Caught! Touchdown Notre Dame! Jaden Thomas on the post route between the hashes. 4 yards deep in the end zone. Diving catch. Have a day, Drew Pine.
The Irish went on to win 35-32. For USA Radio News, I'm Tony Maruso.
They were supposed to win. They're ranked. Got a big surprise? No. The score, maybe. But again, they're ranked. They should.
It's funny. They're talking about the Muslim travel ban, the travel ban Trump did. People could meet, family members could meet at the Haskell Library. You know what I'm saying? Only place in the world it's like that.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not express the views of WVVF ownership or Hometown Talk Radio. Content aired on all programs are those of the host and their guests. Hey, what's happening?
There's some rain coming?
I mean, what's happening in Middleboro and surrounding
It went outside earlier.
It's time for the Middleboro.
Wonder if it rained last night. I didn't hear any rain.
Stay tuned for news. Middleboro news.
We'll see in the weather here if it rains today.
Hey, Joey.
I'm wondering if it will. I don't know. We'll see. Good morning and welcome to Middleboro in Review. It is the 13th of November. We are 11 days away from Thanksgiving. And then after that, we are 40 less than 40 days away, something like that, to Christmas. So, interesting stuff there. Good morning, Don. How are you this morning?
Good, Joey. Good morning to you.
Okay, let's get to the weather really fast, because I want to talk about our first topic right off the bat here. So, Taunton, 51 degrees and cloudy skies. Possible rain in the forecast. That's the weather outside of our Taunton Federal Credit Union Studios, 14 Church Green, in Taunton, Massachusetts. 54 degrees for the high today. Rain in the forecast. A low of 31 today. Tomorrow, sun is back with a high of 48 and a low of 25 degrees. Next couple of days are going to be pretty cold. Not going to see it get into the 50s, other than maybe Wednesday. Middleboro, same thing, 51 degrees. A high of 55 today, so it's going to be a little bit warmer. Low of 31. Rain in the forecast. 48 degrees for the high tomorrow. Sunny skies, 25 for the low. Driscoll, North Dakota. You ready for this, Don? 7. 7 currently.
Wow.
Yep, 7. A high of 17 today, with a low of 5 tonight. For people who might be listening in Driscoll, North Dakota. Thursday. Don, you want to take a guess at what the low is going to be on Thursday?
I can't imagine.
Negative. I'm going to say that again. -2.
I tell you, when
Wow.
when the temperature drops in Driscoll, North Dakota, it drops. We were talking about that in August. It's pretty much the same weather pattern as us here, and then all of a sudden, you come mid-November, it just falls off a cliff.
Yeah. And Driscoll, Texas. This is going to be surprising to you, Don, as well. 42 degrees.
Wow.
42 degrees. A high of 65 today. And it's going to be pretty cold, too. Wednesday, 57 degrees for the high. 76 tomorrow. So, that's going to be one of the last days of really warm weather for a little bit for Driscoll, Texas.
Really warm weather?
Warmer, 76.
Okay, yeah.
For November, that's warm.
Right.
I would assume in Texas. 76 tomorrow. Okay, so, Don, on Friday, me and you went down to Derby Line, Vermont.
Down?
Up. Why am I?
Me and you and up and down? Really? That's good.
Yeah, that's something I keep doing.
It's you and I, number one. Not me and you. It's never me and you. It's you and I.
Me and Don, or Don and
you
me.
You and I.
Don and me, or me and Don,
Me and
went
Don and I.
Went up.
We
went north.
I hope your teacher's listening.
We went north to Haskell Free Library and Opera House, which is in Derby Line, Vermont, which is right on the Canadian border. And Haskell Free Library and Opera House, it is literally on the Canadian and United States border. And it is between two towns, Stansted, Quebec, and Derby Line, Vermont. The Opera House, which is a part of the library, it's upstairs, opened in June 1904, June 7th, 1904, having deliberately been built on the international border. It was declared a heritage building by both countries in the 70s and the 80s. The library has two different addresses, 93 Caswell Avenue, Derby Line, Vermont, and 1 Rue Church Street, Stansted, Quebec. Architect of the Library and Opera House is Nate Beach and James Ball. Architectural style is Romanesque Revival, Victorian Queen Anne Revival. It is a National Historic Site of Canada, and it's on the U.S. National Register of Historic Places. And I'm going to give the mic to John for a second to tell us a little bit more about the Haskell Free Library and Opera House. Don.
It's like 260 miles from here. Took us like almost with stops and getting something to eat, almost 5 hours to get up there, 4.5 hours. It's right on the border. The international borderline goes right through the center of the library. The front door is in Vermont, and you can go. We parked on the right side of the library in the United States, and we put the vehicle like right next to the border. I mean, there's some rocks and some orange, not cones, but stakes. So we were like, cell phones say "Welcome to Canada." We're that close. That town is unique because before 1908, they built houses and property. When they built it, they ran it right through the international borderline. So some houses, like in the front is United States, and in the back is Canada. So I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, and there are certain rules as well about that, which are kind of confusing. Take us a few minutes to kind of explain it.
Well, Canadian residents can walk over the border without going through immigration and go through the front door to use the library and opera house. They can go anywhere they want in the building. There's one way in, one way out the front. Obviously, if there was a fire, you needed to go exit the back. There's some back doors, which put in Canada in the backyard, the back of the building. So technically, without going through customs, we can't walk into Canada, but Canadians can walk in and out.
Yeah.
I guess the rules is as long as you stay on the sidewalk and walk directly to the Opera House, use the facilities, come in and walk straight back into Canada. That's legal for Canadian residents. U.S., you can't walk around the back of the building. You want to check out the back of it, you cannot do that. You can see it from the front.
Yeah.
Over at the parking lot where we parked on the right-hand side, we had to look. We could not go past that rock from where Joey and I are sitting in the studio, which is about maybe 5 feet. That's where Canada was. I mean, less than 5 feet.
We were right there.
We were right there. We couldn't walk over legally.
Yeah.
And there's cameras everywhere, and there's border patrol everywhere. It's unique area, and it's funny that you can just walk through both countries when you're in there freely. Anybody.
Yeah. When you're in the library, you can do that. Yes.
Yes, and it's funny because I'm standing like 1 foot in one country, 1 foot in the other at the library. I got a picture of me and Joey are holding flags. They said, well, make sure, I had a Canadian flag, Joey had a U.S. flag. So make sure, the flag's in its own country.
Yes.
So
yeah,
we're doing that. So it's only place I think in the world that has that situation as a public building.
Yeah.
That has a international border running through it. So it is really something to see. It's worth the ride. I mean, I wish we could have spent the night. We did a lot of driving and we hit a lot of rain headed back. But we told the director of the Opera House, Vincent, that we'd try to go up and meet him because he was gracious enough to call, I think, on Middleboro Matters back in August. He called in and Joey talked about that too. I think it was in early September.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and with those kind of buildings, and they're right on like borders, and or other buildings who are on state lines. I mean, for example, Texarkana. There is a monument there that is right between the three states of the Texarkana area, and that is
2 states, Joey.
Texarkana, 2 states, yeah, and it's very
Arkansas
interesting.
and Texas.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Texarkana, the Texarkana thing is very interesting as well. That's another one of an interesting border to talk about too some other time. But yeah, there are a lot of interesting border things that border different state lines and country lines. We'd be here all day talking about it, Don.
Well, the Haskell Free Library up in Derbyline, Vermont, in Stansted, Quebec, is unique because that's the only public building in the world that has that setup.
Yeah.
It was interesting too. We were talking, I was reading up a little bit. In 2017, when the so-called, well, it was a ban from these Muslim countries, Iraq, Iran, Sudan. When that was implemented, families would meet at the library because that's the only place technically they could meet and see their loved ones. As far as any kind of international border situations, you could, if you were in the United States, you can go to the Haskell Free Library, walk in, and meet your family or loved ones who come in from the Canadian side, and touch them and hug them and be close to them, because you can't, you could probably just shout over the borderline, but it was more of an intimate situation. So it was kind of like one of those loopholes that you could get around. Family members could go to the library and hang out, check out a book, and do whatever, spend time together. But they could hold their hands, they could hug each other, they could do whatever. So that was something that was unique in a way. But it's really, this town is just something I fell in love with. It's the second time going up, and I just love the idea that the international borderline goes right through the houses. Like if you own a house in Vermont, your front door is in Vermont, that means your bathroom and your kitchen and your back bedrooms are in Canada.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? Can you go out in your backyard? Are you allowed to go in your backyard without going through customs?
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean,
Very
now I'm more intrigued on. But there's been a lot of news outlets that have reported about that area, Derby Line and Stansted, Quebec. So it's the ABC, CBS, everyone's been up there and reporting, because it's like one of those oddities on anything about borderline and quirkiness, and especially since 9/11, the town really kind of changed forever.
Yeah, and about that, houses on the border, it's interesting because what if half your house is in the U.S., half your house is in Canada? Who do you pay? Different.
You pay both
things to. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
pay both.
Who do you pay to?
Pay taxes.
That's interesting too.
But I mean, if you're an American citizen, sometimes if you're a dual citizenship, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So you can just enter each, but I mean, you still have to go through customs.
Yeah.
So that's a whole hodgepodge of questions you'd like to ask.
Yeah.
You just don't have enough time for.
Exactly. Yes.
So.
All right. It's 7:21 a.m. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna come back with an interview. Actually, two of them that we recorded. That I recorded with the Opera House director, Vincent, and the librarian of the Haskell Free Library, Peter. So we're going to do that coming up after the break. You're listening to Middleboro in Review. I'm Joey Driscoll. And you're listening, again, WVBF 1530 AM, 99.7 FM. We'll be right back here on Middleboro in Review. 7:22.
You should teach Paul how to run the board for Meeting House, so he can fill in for you on a Saturday.
Okay.
He could figure that out, right?
Yeah.
Motorcycle Association is an
Yeah, I'm sure he can.
of combat veterans from all branches of the United States Armed Forces who love motorcycles as a hobby. Our mission is to support those who have defended our country and freedoms. Our focus is to help veteran
All right, so we're gonna go right into the interviews
clothing,
out of the break.
and guidance, or simply to say thank you and welcome home. coverage from nearly
Where'd you go?
50 states.
When you left the mic, where'd you go?
Members continue to
Log.
serve in armed
I need to
forces,
get my log.
civil serving in combat areas now. We sponsor and or participate in many motorcycle-related charity events each year, and as a nonprofit organization, donate to various veteran care facilities and veteran charities. To learn more about the Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association and how you can join or support, please visit cvma2-2.org.
Pretty sure I'm doing the news tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten a confirmation 100% from Chris, but
You gotta get it. Kind of waiting the last minute, huh?
yeah. I know I was doing it Friday because he was off, but he said he was possibly doing something Monday, the jury duty thing on Monday. So Vic, he'll let me know. He probably doesn't know yet. He'll probably let me know. He'll definitely let me know. Probably sometime today.
Spark Street Auto Body
He
located
probably
at
doesn't know
48
yet.
Spark Street in Brockton,
I'm
Massachusetts.
not gonna bother him
Offers the
because
highest quality
I'm
collision
not gonna
repair
text him
and
because he doesn't
auto
know.
service for your car.
I think he said he'll text me or
Shop
something.
for all
Let me
major
know about
insurance
it.
companies. You should reach them at 508-583-1495. They're open Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and 8 to 4 on Friday.
I mean, if I don't hear from him by like 5, I'll probably just text him.
508-583-1495.
But he did send me yesterday. He did send me a couple of news stories via my email. So I'm assuming I'm doing it Monday, but I'm not 100% sure yet.
The sounds of the Emerald Isle. We'll have some great Irish music, some folk, traditional, country, and contemporary, and sometimes some live singers in the studio. And to make you laugh, some Irish comedy. That's Sundays from noon to 2 right here on WVBF 1530 Taunton, Middleboro, and on the internet at hometowntalkradio.com.
Good afternoon. This is Joey Driscoll from WVBF Middleboro in Review, and we're here with, introduce yourself.
Peter Lapine.
So tell us a little bit about what you do here at the Haskell Free Library.
Well, I'm a volunteer here. I've been volunteering here for approximately 15 years. My shift is Friday afternoons. I work the desk, and I give guided tours. Those are my two main responsibilities.
And this library is right here in the Canadian border. Tell us a little bit interesting things about that.
Well, our benefactress, Martha Stewart Haskell, in 1900, contributed $50,000 to build this building to give back to the community after the death of her husband. He had been American, she was Canadian. She wanted to do something in an artistic vein, and she wanted to be sure that the citizens of both countries would be able to benefit from this establishment. Thus, she built it smack dab on the border. Roughly 60% of the building is in Canada and 40% is in the United States. It was done on purpose this way. Since before 1908, there were no prohibitions against doing so.
And you also have a opera house here. Tell us a little bit about that.
The Opera House is above the library. It's on the second floor. It has a parterre and a balcony. It seats roughly 400. Its original show was June 7th, 1904. The Colombian Minstrels in a grand revival of old-time blackface minstrelsy. Not something you would want to do today, but at the time it was still very popular.
And I saw that some of the recent plays that are going to be played is The Addams Family,
That's correct. That was a musical that was earlier this summer.
And tell us a little bit more, as a couple of interesting facts about the library and the Opera House.
Let's see. Well, everything in the library is pretty much original from 1904, 1905, except for the more modern things that require detection and suppression systems, the elevator, wheelchair accessible washrooms. Those things have to be brought up to code a number of years ago. Now we're fully up to code, and we have two emergency exits. That was another requirement a few years ago to put in the second emergency exit. Canadians who are patrons of the library and Opera House do not have to clear American customs to enter the building, although the door is on the American side. As long as we remain park on the Canadian side and stay on the sidewalk, we can come in and enter the building, do our business, exit the building, stay on the sidewalk, get in our cars and drive home. Without having to clear customs either way.
I want to thank you so much, Peter, for this quick little interview. This is Joey Driscoll from WVBF, Middleboro Review reporting. Bye-bye, everybody. And that was an interview with Peter, who is the Haskell Free Library librarian. And now let's hear an interview from the Haskell Free Library Opera House director, Vincent. Good afternoon, I'm Joey Driscoll here with Middleboro in Review, WVBF reporting. I am here with
Vincent Woodrow.
And you are the director of the Haskell Opera House.
That's correct. I have been for the last 6 months.
Tell us a little bit about the Opera House.
Well, it was started building in 1901. They finished it in 1904. And the cost to build the house back then was $50,000. Now, throughout the years, we've been preserving it as pristine as possible. So the latest in the investment were the new lighting system that reduces the cost of lights and reduces the heat, and anyway, makes it a pleasure and nicer theater to come in.
And you have a piano here on the stage. Tell us a little bit about that piano. Is it original?
Yes, it is. It's a nice 7-foot or something like that grand piano that's been in the house. What was the name of it? Pond and Ivory.
Yeah.
So that's this, and we have another one also. It came from Boston. It was ordered special for. We have like a street piano where a ragtime musician would be playing more than Marilyn Manson. But no, we're hoping to get this hall, this beautiful opera house, up and functioning with. Well, we've installed a state-of-the-art projector with screens, and we're hoping to start showing movie premieres and get the culture flowing back on the border.
Yeah, you were telling us about a few different interesting things that might be happening here at the Haskell Free Library, and Opera House, when it comes to movie premieres. Tell us a little bit about some of the past movies and shows.
Well, the movies there were never anything as for movies before, very little. So, because we want to bring back this house more towards the people, it's easier to have showing movies, and we're just hoping to get everything going, and get a good programming going so that we can bring interested people to keep on coming back and developing and finding out. A lot of people that are even live locally have never been into this place. So we're the cinema. We're hoping to be able to put the ticket booth at $5 per adult and $10 for families. So to really keep it family oriented, so that when we do start showing movies again or cinema, it'll be more affordable to the families, and hopefully at some point we might even be able to produce them for free.
And finally, tell us a couple of different things that you might want our listeners here in Massachusetts to know about this library.
Well, it is the pearl of the Northeast, I believe, or I will call it that personally, because I don't know of many other theaters that are so well maintained and pristine and give out acoustics like in this room that are amazing.
Thank you so much for the interview, Vincent.
Thank you.
And this is Joey Driscoll from WVBF reporting. And that was an interview with Vincent, the Opera House director. And before Don speaks, let me make sure I have his mic on, as I don't want Don to speak and no one to be able to hear him. Don, you can now speak.
Those are two great interviews, Joey. And
Thank you.
It was really appreciate Vincent and Peter taking the time to speak with us. And I know they have a lot of people who come in looking for interviews and whatnot. And we're not the first media outlet to come in and take their time. But you did talk to them in September. August, end of August, I think he called in, and on Middleboro Matters, and I think you had like a 20-minute conversation with him, which was good. And we did say we're going to try to go up and see them before the end of the year, and it's just Friday I was off. Joey had to work the news. He was done at 9. It was kind of a crazy thing just to jump in a vehicle and head up to Derby Line, Vermont, but that's what we did. And we're up there about an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah, about that.
Some dinner and drove home. Got home about 9:30. So we're talking a good 12 hours of getting out of town. But it was important to go up and see him, see the library, have Joey see the library. I've seen it before, but from on the outside. That was back in 2018. That's all right, when I discovered the town. And it was good that we were able to talk to Peter and Vincent and get an interview, and it was good to meet them, because now I think we have a nice rapport between WVBF, your show, the radio station, and that Opera House and Library, which is definitely a unique situation. So I'm sure by taking the time to drive up and see him, by saying that, hey, we're going to come up and see you, and we actually showed up. Because everyone's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come up, and they never do. That means a lot to people that we took the time. It took all day and all night Saturday to do it. It's Friday. I'm sorry, we did it Friday, but that was important. And we couldn't spend the night because Joey had to be here to work at 8 o'clock Saturday morning, so we had no choice but to drive home in the rain. But we did it. We took care of it, but. Even though someone say, "Oh, you only went up there for an hour and a half," what a way! It really wasn't, because we told Vincent and you told him on the air that we're going to try to get up and see you, and it's important that if you say you're going to do something, you do it.
Yes,
it's very important. It's most important, even if you have to stand upside down on your head for 12 hours. And sometimes when you're driving home and you're a little, it's a little rainy and dark and might be a little tired. But the thing is, it's important that we showed up, and he really appreciated that we showed up. He said, "Oh, we got there about 2:30." He says, "Oh, so you just caught me." I said, "Oh yeah, well, I'm glad we did."
Yeah.
So it was important to do that, and then I think if we can call any time for a radio interview, and it'd be a good asset to the show, and Thursday show, Middleboro Matters, and. It's just important because that's something that's history up there. It's something unique. It's something different, and it's a good story, I think.
Okay, blood drives. We have a couple coming up here for the month of November. Monday, November 14th, 2022, Coana Community Health Center, 5 Waller Kruger Way, Bridgewater, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Tuesday, November 15th. At Bridgewater State University, Dunn Suites, 131 Summer Street in Bridgewater, 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. So this week, there will be 2 blood drives in Bridgewater. Friday, November 18th, Town Hall, Halifax, 499 Plymouth Street in Halifax, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And on Wednesday, November 23rd, Rosebrook Event Center, 50 Rosebrook Place, number 1 in Wareham, 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So those are the blood drives coming up. Also, there is a autumn craft fair coming up at the Bristol Plymouth Regional Technical School Gymnasium at 207 Hart Street in Taunton. Next Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, November 19th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Donate a non-perishable food item to be entered into a special drawing. Admission is free, and food will be served all day. Those are a couple of community announcements I wanted to mention here right off the bat. A couple of different things coming up. We'll have a little update on what's going on with Amtrak. I know I didn't do that on Thursday. I usually try to do that during the transportation topic on Thursday, but there was no news. No immediate news there. But we're with Don today, and Don always finds something to talk about with Amtrak, right, Don?
I'm pretty good at that, yes.
So we'll have that coming up next. And then we'll have Today in Histories and a couple of other things as well. Have a little bit of a sports segment maybe as well. So, I mean, there's not going to be much to talk about. Patriots are off this Sunday. Today, they're off. But there's still Bruins and Celtics to talk about, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well, briefly. So, let's take a commercial break. I'm Joey Driscoll. I'm joined by Don. This is Middleboro Review on 1530 AM and 99.7 FM. We will be right back.
I got my COVID-19 vaccination, and here's why.
All right.
This isn't about gimmicks or sentiment or what commercial I like. This is about facts. COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective. Millions of doses have already been given in the United States, and these vaccines have the most intensive safety monitoring in U.S. history. People from different races, ages, genders, and ethnicities participated in large clinical trials around the world to make sure this vaccine worked for all kinds of people. The amount of time and effort dedicated to developing these vaccines was huge. Scientists use existing research and technology so they could get the vaccines developed.
That's a local one.
And safely.
Amtrak is going to be adding new trains between Mid-Hudson Valley and NYC next month.
Visit mass.gov/COVID booster for the latest vaccination information. A message from your friends here at WVBF.
Hi everybody, Tony Lopes here, and just want to remind everyone that you can listen every Tuesday to Coffee with Tony from 9 to 12. And now an extra treat. For a while, at least on Thursdays, it will be Coffee with Tony from 9 to 11. So Coffee with Tony, Tuesday 9 to 12, Thursdays 9 to 11 here on AM 1530, WVBF and 99.7 FM.
One more commercial after that.
Sacred Heart Church in Middleboro serves the residents of the towns of Middleboro, Lakeville, Harbor, and Rochester. Our base of operations is in the lower level of the parish hall on Oak Street, directly across the street from Sacred Heart Church in downtown Middleboro. At this time, we serve approximately 500 families in our service area, and many of them come to us for various types of aid. This can take many forms and include many of the following programs: utilities and rent assistance, agency referrals, clothing and furniture vouchers, and temporary lodging. For more information, go to svdbmiddleboro.org. May the good Lord bless you and keep you safe.
There is a story a couple weeks ago about in the Providence Journal about Whitford Junction apparently. Oh really? Briefly looking at it.
Our mission
Yeah.
is to support those who have defended our country and freedoms. Our focus is to
Not
help
that interesting.
veteran care facilities provide a warm meal, clothing, shelter, and guidance, or simply to say thank you
I
and
think I'll
welcome
pick this
home.
one.
We have members from nearly all 50 states and living abroad. Many members
And you
continue to
got one.
serve in our armed
Definitely
forces,
you got one
with
for that.
several serving in combat areas now. We sponsor and or participate in many motorcycle-related charity events each year, and and as a nonprofit organization, donate to various veteran care facilities and veteran charities. To learn more about the Combat Veteran Motorcycle Association and how you can join or support, please visit cvma2-2.org.
There we go. Okay. And we're back as I turn down the music here and turn Dawn's mic on. So, Dawn, we got some Amtrak stuff to talk about today. I have one that I saw here looking up some information. And the story is from Mid-Hudson Valley in New York City. Amtrak is going to be adding 2 new round trips trains between the Mid-Hudson Valley and New York City. The new Amtrak departures are coming December the 5th. Riders will be able to catch a late morning train running Sunday through Friday, departing from Albany Rosselaire, and that is at 11:10 a.m. usually. The train will stop at Hudson at 11:30 a.m., Rhinecliff at 11:54 a.m., Poughkeepsie at 12:10 p.m. before arriving in New York City at the Moynihan Train Hall at 1:45 p.m., according to Amtrak's website. The other train leaves New York City Sunday through Friday at 3:15 p.m. with stops at Poughkeepsie at 4:40 p.m., Rhinecliff at 4:55 p.m., and Hudson at 5:15 p.m. So that's a very interesting news there. Dawn?
Well, you say heading south from Albany to Rosalia. That's pretty much, Rosalia is across the river from Albany. That's the town. That's where the station is technically located. Albany technically doesn't have a Amtrak station. It's across the river. Just add in a couple more Hudson River runs. Poughkeepsie is where the commuter rail will start for the greater New York area. So it's probably why they don't stop in any other. I know there's a couple other Amtrak stops further south too, but that sounds like more of like an express. Yeah, I guess just add in a couple more trains. I guess the route's getting popular, and that's a beautiful train ride is to run the Hudson. You got you got the riverside, and you really don't want to be going down looking west when the sun's setting, because it's just, I don't know, it's just ruin it. So you want to kind of get midday, morning. We've been looking at the river. Heading south would be ideal, or north. Just make sure you're looking west at the river. But it's a beautiful ride, and yeah, it just goes to show that more people want to take the train, and that route boogies. The trains move pretty fast on that route. That's another route I think they should electrify at some point. Is that corridor all the way up to Albany anyway, and maybe some more commuter trains. Getting a little further up, maybe commuter trains up to Albany or whatnot. But yeah, it's good. It's good to hear that people are looking for trains.
Yeah, and there's news around here about different things going on, different services being made permanent. The Valley Flyer we talked about recently.
You said that
permanent.
That terminates in Greenfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we went through Greenfield when we went up to Vermont. We actually took it that way and went up 91 from Greenfield. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much pretty far away from, I mean,
Yeah.
It's good that Amtrak does service that part of Massachusetts, because it's kind of like a forgotten part of the state. No one really goes there that I know of. Everyone around here, if they got a place in the Cape or they got a place in New Hampshire and Maine, maybe Vermont, but no one really goes to Western Mass. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there, but it seems like that part of the state, southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, that area there, southwest New Hampshire, southeast Vermont, even all southern Vermont almost, and that section of western Massachusetts from the Connecticut River to the New York state line is kind of like a forgotten area. It's just everyone, like I said, everyone around here goes to Maine and New Hampshire. I have people I know who go to New Hampshire all the time, hiking up there, and I say, "Hey, you ever go to the Berkshires?" No, never think of it. Which is kind of nice because you don't have all the strip malls, you don't have all the congestion that, say, the White Mountains would bring, or even Winnipesaukee. I mean, it's good for business for those people or whatnot, and that's what people like. But people looking for some more of a little town charm, I reach out for those areas myself.
If you want to call in, we have a few minutes. 508-822-1106 is the number. Again, 508-822-1106 is the number if you want to call in. We have a couple minutes. If you want to, have you had any thoughts about what we talked about today? Any things you wanted to add? Our sports segment, we have a couple of things. Sports is a little bit quiet this week because it's still early in the season in the NBA. Things don't really ramp up yet. Things don't really ramp up until just before the All-Star break for the NBA and the NHL, which is usually in February, right around there. So things don't really ramp up yet. The Bruins and the Celtics, though, are off to a good start, which is great news. The Boston Celtics, they had a game yesterday against the Detroit Pistons where they won. They're now 10-3. They've had a really good winning streak lately. And now they are going to face the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow and then Atlanta on Wednesday. So there's some big games coming up for them. Hopefully they can continue their winning streak. But off to a really good start through the first 13 games. The Bruins, through the first 12 or so games, have done very well. They take on the Vancouver Canucks, who I was talking about earlier during the week. On Friday, I mentioned there are 3 Vancouver Canucks who will be making their presence felt and the NHL Hall of Fame, which is going to be tomorrow. The 2022 induction ceremony, the 2022 NHL Hall of Fame class has 3 Vancouver Canucks in it. The Sedin twins and the famous goalie for Vancouver of recent times, Roberto Luongo. We have a phone call. Good morning. You are on Middleboro in Review. Good morning. Yeah, it's definitely cool outside today.
I've been to Queechee before. Yeah, Queechee Gorge. I've seen that. There's a lot of glass making facilities in the area. I used to go there every year with friends who My buddy's wife had his aunt had a cottage up there, so we always went up in like around late April, early May for a few days. So I got to know Quechee really well, and that's just a really nice area. It's and then if you go Route 4, you go all the way to Rutland and then all the way to Whitehall, New York. Now, Whitehall, New York, not to change the subject, is like where Lake Champlain ends and the Champlain Canal heading down to the Hudson River begins. So that's a unique little town too. It has a oh yeah. Yeah, well, you never got to get a warm pizza home ever, So it's like one of those things. Yeah, a lot of them, they just, I mean, unless you happen upon them, they really don't bother you. They really run in the other way. So it's funny, I've never seen a bear. Once in my life, I've the Poconos Mountain, I've seen a bear cross behind me in the mirror, but I've been a lot of places and I've never bumped into a bear. And I had a friend bump into a bear over at Miles Standish, over at the campground, Miles Standish campground, like 2 years ago. Came right up to the campground. So right up to. Yeah, right. So. Yep. Reschedule. Yeah, no, it is. It is. And we were talking about, we went up to Derby Line, Vermont at the beginning of the show, and there was a library and opera house called the Haskell Free Library Opera House, and that the international border goes right through the library itself, and even that part of Vermont just feels like you are, even in Vermont, you do feel like you are in another country because you're so close to Canada. So it's kind of different because it's it's north of Newport. Anyone knows Newport, Rhode Island, not Rhode Island, Newport, Vermont. It's this little town. Derby is about another 5 miles north of it, right up to the international border. So it's just different. We live in a blessed country with all these different cultures and different attitudes and different perspectives, and that's what makes this country great, in my opinion. Yes, we will.
All right, it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening.
All right, it is 7:57. So we just have a few minutes here. Let's right to our Today in Histories here, real quick before we run out of time. We have 2 Today in Histories, so it should go pretty quick. But I do want to get Don's thoughts on one of them, and that is this one. 1927, November 13th, the Holland Tunnel opens to traffic as the first Hudson River vehicle tunnel linking New Jersey to New York City. Don, some thoughts on that?
I've been through the Holland Tunnel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's down south. That's over, comes out to the Battery, Jersey City to the Battery section of Manhattan, and yeah, I think it was built before the Sumner Tunnel was built. Not the Sumner Tunnel, the Sumner Tunnel, because that was built in Boston. But yeah, that's pretty before the George Washington Bridge even.
Yeah, 2013, 4 World Trade Center, number 4 World Trade Center officially opens. The new 4 World Trade Center. They're currently rebuilding most of the older, most of the buildings that were on that World Trade Center properties before the 2001 terrorist attack. They are now rebuilding most, if not all, of those buildings. 1 World Trade Center, I think 2 as well, that they've rebuilt or are working on. I think they've rebuilt it. I think it's done. There are other ones that are being rebuilt and either are done or at various completion processes. So they are rebuilding most of those buildings. Birthdays. We have 1967, Jimmy Kimmel, American comedian, actor, and talk show host, and 1969, Gerald Butler, Scottish actor, been in a lot of different movies, pretty good actor. 2005, Eddie Guerrero passes away on this day, on November 13th, 2005. American wrestler, one of the most famous wrestlers of the 1990s. 2014, Alvin Dark, American baseball player and manager. And 2017, Bobby Doerr, also American baseball player and manager as well, passing away. And Alvin Dark passing away in 2014, and Bobby Doerr passing away in 2017. Okay, that'll do it for today's program. I hope everyone enjoyed today's program. If you want to listen to this again, we have the YouTube channel, Middleboro in Review, and the Facebook, Middleboro in Review by Joey Driscoll, or Middleboro in Review on WVBF 1530 AM by Joey Driscoll. That is the Facebook name. It's a handful. I know I should change it, but anyway, coming up is Bread of Life with Pastor Ortez Vancross. Until next week, bye-bye, everybody. Have a great week.
Have a great week, everyone. Right at 8. Good job.
Yeah, a couple seconds late, but whatever. I gotta... Bye-bye, everybody.